Welcome to the Global Peace Film Festival Lives Online Conversation 2021 Festival Edition. Please join me, Kelly Devine, the Artistic Director, and Nina Strike, the Executive Director, as we welcome filmmaker Bernadette Wegenstein, the director of The Conductor, a film that you can see at the 2021 Global Peace Film Festival, either as part of our in-person screenings from September 21st to September 26th, or during our streaming program, which begins September 27th and runs through October 3rd. Please go to peacefilmfest.org to check out all the details, learn about the schedule and ticketing, and any updates about upcoming events related to the festival. And now, let's welcome Bernadette Wegenstein, the director of The Conductor. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. And let's start by, please tell us a little bit about the film.
Yeah, so the film, The Conductor, is a film about a woman in a male-dominated field of classical music conducting. And it's about her life journey and the story of Maren Alsop, who is the first woman to break through the glass ceiling of being a woman in the field of classical music conducting. Now, I think what I most want to point to in the way that we created this story is that we used classical music itself to tell the story, the very difficult story of making it in this field, of being rejected innumerable times, of being set back, of being offended for being a woman in a field that was supposedly not meant for her. And so we accompany our incredible character, Maren Alsop, through this film with the help of the music that she herself conducts. And we see her conduct several orchestras, but any other music in the film is also conducted by her that we hear. So I'm most happy that I was able to let the music speak for her and the incredible story that she has to tell.
Well, I think anyone who has the pleasure of watching this film will also see that you managed to capture the generosity of her spirit. But how did you come to know about her and to gain this rapport with her to create this beautiful portrait?
Well, I moved to Baltimore to actually work here at the university at Johns Hopkins. And when I moved here, I was told, you should go to the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. You're from Vienna, which is where I'm originally from. And of course, everybody knows that or assumes, that I'd be interested in classical music, given my background. And as a matter of fact, I am, and I have classical musicians in my own family. My grandparents were musicians. However, during the Nazi era, they weren't able to go very far, to have really big careers. But I was always, as a child, already very connected to classical music. And so when I moved here, I went to see Maren. And the first time I saw her, I remember she was doing Brahms, and I was really very taken by the music, and it really entered my my heart. But then what I was more taken by even was the appearance of a female conductor. And I caught myself thinking, this is really unusual. And, have I actually seen a woman on the podium before? And then from there, I started kind of looking at the history and developing this project, of which, Maren was going to be one story, and I was going to dedicate actually originally in a way, other storylines to working through the lack of knowledge that we have of this domain, where women are, classical conductors, musical conductors. And at the end, though, I did meet Maren in person, and she invited me to really accompany her as a documentarian in kind of live, to her various orchestras, and let me kind of into her life. And I decided to make the film really only about her, because I thought, her story really tells the story also of other women. And as you said, as the beginning, she also gives back to the younger generations now after her through a fellowship that she created, the Taki also fellowship. And I think that, you know, she deserved her own film. And I think that that's really, I'm very happy we made that decision.
I agreed. She really does deserve her own film. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of go back to in what you were discussing is that you had alluded to the fact that you had started down one path for the film and then changed your mind. And could you talk about, you know, that as a process of being a filmmaker and the surprises and the things that you learn along the way?
Yeah, so why I love being a filmmaker, and so far I've made you know, 4 documentaries, is that you're in a team and you're kind of on a journey. Every film is almost like a life, and so like anything that lasts for several years and is sort of a longer investigation or a long conversation with yourself or with the world or with a topic, a question, you know, demands that you're open for change, and that open for perhaps being on the, I wouldn't say the wrong road, but you know, for really finding the language that best suits your topic. And that's often not very clear, you know, at the beginning. In this case, the working title for the film was called We Conduct. And I took it because, you know, Maren was so, you know, open-minded, and she wanted everybody to get this experience. And she would tell me, you know, mostly professions are a matter of opportunity. If you give a lot of opportunity, you know, a lot of people the opportunity to become this or that, then they will, you know. A lot of it has to do with confidence, or even with the idea, you know, would I ever see myself on a podium? And so I was fascinated by the inclusiveness and the plurality behind this this character, Maren. But in the end, the we became, you know, one. We became her, just because I just really wanted us to fall for her. And I do think that storytelling has a lot to do with, obviously, identification, but also with like just letting your heart go someplace that you're not in real life. And I think a character like Maren really pulls you into her life and her world. And that's when we decided to actually make it just about her. But it was pretty early on, Kelly, in the process of making the film that I realized it. So fortunately, you know, it wasn't like it dawned on you, you know, 2/3 into making a film that you're potentially on the wrong path. But what is great about filmmaking is, and what is difficult about it too, is that it's a very unforgiving art. And the film will tell you if you are, you know, using the right language to tell the story. And it will be unforgiving. And you will just not make it work, because you can't, for instance, edit yourself out of a problem. If you're on the wrong storytelling path, you know, there's no exit. So you better be on the right one. And I had an incredible editor, for instance, Stefan in Vienna, who's also a classically trained musician himself. And so for us, the guiding principle of finding the story was really through the music. So we kind of composed the whole film in musical bits and pieces that then were the driving dramaturgical forces to tell the story of Maren. And that's another reason why multiple characters wouldn't have worked, because we really honored the music that she loves and she performs, and that she's known for.
Maren's whole life is almost magical, from that moment that she goes to the young people's concert for Leonard Bernstein and makes that connection to the way that as you say, that she wants to continually inspire and create space for anyone to you know, to love music as much as she does. And I think that's I'd love to talk a little bit more about that in terms of our mission at the Global Peace Film Festival is to try and find these stories and models and show them to our audiences and hope that they take something back in their own hearts, in their own lives, in their own communities to make the world a more just, inclusive, and peaceful place. And as you point out, it would still be remarkable considering the profession of the symphony orchestra and what how guarded by tradition and and so forth that it is, and how beautiful that is on so many levels. It would be remarkable enough if just within her position as an instructor and a mentor, if she created space for these people. But she also, when she was in Baltimore, goes out of her way to create this program for young people that is really in line with our mission. And so I just would love if you could talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that for one, role models are so important, and to be exposed to them. And as you say, I mean, she was a child when she saw Leonard Bernstein at the Young People's Concert. And of course, she was brought there by her own father, also a musician. Often, I don't think that people find their role models through even their own parents. And so it's already remarkable that that happened. But then it's remarkable that the father, of course, helped her, or didn't say, he was certainly not one of the people saying you can't be a conductor, whereas so many people told her that, her own violin teacher, and then multiple times in her career as a young violinist. And so I think that what is really, in a way, aligning with this idea of inspiration and peace, or creating a better future, for me, is the fact that I have put all her struggles out into the open. And I think that is, in a way, a very healing thing to do. I think people need to know what the restrictions, the rejections, the humiliations, and the struggles are, and how a person like Maren so gracefully overcomes them and turns it around to give back. And it's real, right? I didn't make this up. It's not a fiction film. It's actually, it's reality. And I do think that hearing stories like that and being on their journey, and being on a journey that is, so to speak, also peacefully coming to, to a positive ending, in a way, where she has overcome these problems. She's put aside all the negativity, and now she is who she is. I think that's very satisfying. And that's what I think film is capable of carrying in 90 minutes, this kind of a struggle, persistence, overcoming of problems that, of course, aren't just the ones we see in the classical music world. And then really being at peace with this achievement and giving back. I think that's where, I think that's what I want people also to take away. And it's comforting to see her do it, because she's so fierce. And film, I think, is a medium that really can convey these emotions so strongly. And we can watch somebody else do something that perhaps, will inspire us to do other similar things one day ourselves.
It really is an inspirational film, and she's certainly a real inspiration herself. So to wrap up, can you tell us how people can support this work, this film, and your work, and also what's next for you?
So I think I would love for people to know where we can screen in person, which is, one is your festival right now, but we on the conductor.com, people can sign up and will be emailed about opportunities in the United States. And also later this fall, we have our European premieres. So that people can really share the story of Maren Alsop and our film. What is great about film is really it's a global, medium. So it's nice to know that we can watch it in different cultural context as well. We also will have a big screening here in Baltimore with orchids in the fall or in December. So they will find out about that. They would have to come to Baltimore, but I think it'll be an incredible screening. We will have live music by orchids as well. And what comes for me next? So I'm developing two films right now, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about the one film, which is a hybrid documentary, but also fictionalized musical film, actually. And it's about the story of a Jew from Czernowitz originally, who was a lawyer in Vienna around 1900, and then started writing comedies. And so he had an incredible comedy come out in the 20s, in the late 20s. And then, you know, his footsteps are, you know, kind of vanishing, and we're trying to find through archives what happened to him after 1933. We know he died in 1938. So it's a film about, you know, the memory of what once was, you know, Austria in the 20s and 30s, and that's the country that I'm from. So I connect very strongly with its history. But it's kind of working through this history in a new way, through musical and through, you know, making the comedy speak to us again in a contemporary kind of language. So it's a very complicated new project, but I'm super excited about it. But I'm sure I'll make many more projects, and they'll always be bringing to the screen the voices of outsiders, marginalized people, or people who were indeed, you know, murdered for who they were or for their identities. So that's what I'm mostly committed to in terms of my filmmaking.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. And Bernadette, please keep in touch with us, because we love to share updates through our social media channels about our filmmakers. So we will be in touch regarding that. And you're welcome. And thank everyone who's watched this interview. We really appreciate it. For more information and to sign up for screenings or to find out about festivals that may be closer to you, if you happen to miss the opportunity to see the film in person, please go to the-conductor.com. Again, that's the-conductor.com to learn more information about the Conductor. And again, just as a reminder, our in-person screenings begin September 21st and run through September 26th. Our streaming portion of our film festival begins September 27th and runs through October 3rd. All the details can be found at peacefilmfest.org. Please check out the updates there, follow us on social media, and we'll see you at the next Glow. Thank you.